So this morning after breakfast, I took Venerable Sumana to look at this new building, a new hall. While explaining about the hall, suddenly there was an insight came to me. And that insight is that most of the beautiful things that we see behind the Buddha or other decoration, even the paintings, a giant beautiful painting which was painted about 22 years ago and was left in the garage. Same with the other ornaments that we have in this hall. Pretty much recycled. Even the drawer in front of the Buddha is recycled. We got it from someone who is about to move back to Sri Lanka. And I don't know who that person is. But we got the new, these are basically kind of new things for us. Each items that we have has got their own story to tell. The stories that they had been through. Stories that so many people had used it. Maybe misused, or maybe use it wisely, or adored. But at the moment when it is inside this building, in this new hall, these are all new forms and new things, and we all adore and rejoice. We are not asking where this came from, who did it, who used it, how did it there, how it came to be, how these things were in those places, and who created them. Must have been through goods and bads. On a further on, I was reflecting on that particular to the drawers, that this is also came from a very different place, very different objects in different ways. So it has its own story to tell. Some are good, some are bad. But it has been cut, it has been twisted and come to this nice shape. Same within our life too. Ever since we started walking by our own self, parents must be rejoicing and feel very happy. We have fallen many times when we started to walk. Maybe one step we fell down. And yet that one step was a joyful moment for the parents. But that was a painful step for us. And as we began to walk, the more we walk, our steps become more firm and firm, stable and stable, from falling onto the ground. Gradually, we are not falling down. And as we step up, we began to walk and we become very inquisitive, picking up that, picking up this, breaking that, breaking this, and very scientific mind want to test it this and test it that. Wherever we were not told not to do, we try to do that. So from very early age, we had been through so many twists and turns and falls and walks, so on, without having anybody else to interfere with our life yet. But as we grow old, go to the outside of the house or outside of the family comfort zone, go to the school, I began to learn on different things, and then meantime we were hurt, we were bullied, we were beaten, and yet we go back again to pursue our dreams, which at that time probably not, but parents push us to be in that position, and gradually we'll learn how to grow. And find ways to protect in different ways. And gradually we learn to know that how we should live our life. Sometimes we engage with so many people simply to feel that this is where I am belong to. Other times we want to be sitting quiet in our own spacious place and do whatever we want to do. And move on like that. There are no one who don't have the falls, fails, troubles, bullying, bullied, and all sorts of negative experiences, but we raise from that. Out of a 99%, we do not remember them, and we do not even think of them either. We leave them behind one after another, and we simply rejoice the moment that we have. We simply living this moment as a moment that we are enjoying a lot. It's like a new moment that we have. And we move on with that. And in the meantime, we leave something behind every single day. From morning till evening, we come across with so many things and we do so many things. But there are only few or one or two that really resonates and we really put our thoughts in it, and that becomes a day or experience of the day. Actually, that is not all in it at all. Just one of hundreds, if not thousands of experiences that we have it. So we always leave behind many than what we take it on. But the problem what is there is that the moment when we take more and leave very little, and then trouble is there, misery begins. Same with that these ornaments that we have revived it, recycled it. It's been done and it's here. We simply rejoice it, but we forgot where it came from. What was its history? What had happened? How it was dismantled, how it was discarded, Who discarded? What is the reason behind that discard? We never go back, but we enjoy and we entertain and we adore these beautiful things that we have created, beautiful things that we have in front of us. Now, the life is like that too. The moment when we learn to rejoice, live in the present moment in these ways, then there will be no troublesome that will come to disturb us. But obviously, oftentimes, even this present moment that we are experiencing, such a beautiful moment, can cause a trouble if we are attached to, and if we are hold on to it and proliferating in it. There was a bunch of monks, after received the instruction of how to meditate from the Buddha, went into the woodlands and meditated for some times. After certain periods of meditation, they went into such a deep meditative states, and they even had this realization that they are enlightened. They were holding the perception that nothingness is there and I am nothing. And all what I wanted to do is to serve the community, help the community. Because we are enlightened. They were thinking that they are living in a present moment and ability to be mindful of what things happens now. And with that, they're generating this loving thought to the other beings, and they try to mingle and help. As time passed, then they thought that they should go to the Buddha to explain their attainments. And it happened that when they came to visit the Buddha at the Jetavana monastery, they come across with a few people staying or volunteering in a temple. Out of joy or happiness that they came back from the woodlands to see the Buddha, they could not stop talking to the people in the temple, including monks. The Buddha noticed their behavior, noticed their emotions, and then Buddha told the Venerable Ananda to tell these bunch of monks not to come to see him, but to let them go to the cemeteries to practice meditation. By saying that coming to see me, they would not get any benefits, but rather go to the cemetery and spend time there until the Buddha is ready to see them. When these bunch of monks heard this instruction from Venerable Ananda, they thought that the Blessed One must have seen something better in us. So the Buddha instructed us to stay and meditate in the cemetery. So they happily went and stayed in the cemetery, and they realized that the very moment when they arrived in that cemetery, there were a few crops cremated, bones. Having seen these bones and the crops, the hair, body hair, stood up and realized that they still have this essential pleasures or displeasure in it, experiencing or seeing these bones and the crops. They feel disgusted or unhappy. And they began to contemplate on that. Then the Buddha instructed them to contemplate even more deeper that if you are really enlightened, you would not have a sense of belonging, sense of this sensual pleasure of not wanting to see these crops and bones. And by that, as the Buddha was instructing them, they contemplated on it and eventually they became enlightened. So that's why it has to be very careful in our practice of a meditation too. Sometimes we may gain very deep meditative states and we may have this perception of certain enlightenments or certain levels of enlightenments, then can divert our attention and mislead. But what we have to understand that even that actually is not wrong. We just need to redo, repair, and regain again. It's like these old discarded stuffs. We have revived them and become lively. And with that, we can rejoice and adore. Similarly, in the practice of the Dhamma, that's why whatever we experience, it's very important to be mindful that you are not holding on to certain perceptions, but ability to recognize them as they truly are. So that we will not be wasting our time. Every moment, every action, every breath that we take becomes a mindful breath, mindful steps, mindful speech, mindful eating, mindful experiences. We're living with the feelings in the present moment, experiencing whatever we feel, whatever we see. And with that, there will be no fear of anything. There is no fear. There is no emptiness in our life anymore. It's the pure happiness, and heedlessly we are living our life. Heedfulness is not there. We are mindful. And doesn't matter how many years, if not weeks or days that we have, this moment becomes a valuable and essential part of our life, that we are living our life fully and enjoying that I am still breathing and I am aware that I am still alive. And each moment of awareness is a blessings for us. And with that again, that blessings is not just for individual prosperity, we are also sharing it to the rest of others for their benefit, for their understanding the path and the fruition eventually. Okay, so this is time for the practice of a meditation. And listen some of the passages from this book. So sitting in a comfortable position, relax yourself. And spend some time on the reflections. And bring the Buddha Dhamma Sangha in your thoughts, offering yourself for the security, instruction, and protection. And make a resolution that during this time we'll practice meditation to calm the mind, to calm the body, to understand non-body feeling, mental states. Whatever time that we have during this time, we'll spend as much as possible to be mindful of whatever is happening here and now. Life is short, so we have to live wisely. Despite knowing that this life is a very short, people often forget to enjoy this life. And this enjoyment, oftentimes people only think of this current life. In fact, we should think of furthering our lives. If we cannot free ourselves from the greed, hatred and delusion. Freeing ourselves from the greed, hatred and delusion would be the primary goal, but if we can't attain, at least think of the future good birds. And we are very fortunate to have this opportunity to learn the Dhamma, the path that leading towards freeing ourselves. So sitting comfortably, reflecting on that, and continue practicing and listening some of these passages from this scripture. The following passage is about the Buddha hesitated to teach the Dhamma after he was enlightened because of the subtlety of the Dhamma. And understood that this subtle Dhamma, no one will be able to understand its profundity in its true nature. And decided that he would sit and meditate until his life ends from there. But however, his mind or thoughts were recognized by one of the celestial beings, those who were presiding at that time, or were the audience as the Buddha was about to gain the enlightenment. His name was Sahampati Brahma, one of the very high celestial being from a Brahma world. Requested the Buddha, saying that there are some people who could understand this path. Please reconsider again. And with that, the Buddha again surveyed the human beings and realized that there are some who could understand and could realize, and there are some who need a bit of explanation, and some are needing extensive explanation. At least they could have walked on this path as an initial step for this particular life, and which will continue to shape their mindset following lives, and eventually there is a possibility of enlightenment of themselves. So that he started to teach the Dhamma. Now this passage goes like this. On one occasion, the Blessed One was staying at Uruvela on the river Neranjara at the foot of the goatherd's banyan tree, having just realized the full awakening. Then, while being alone and in seclusion, the Blessed One considered, "This Dhamma that I have attained is profound, hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful, sublime, untenable by mere reasoning, subtle to be experienced by the wise. But this population delights in clinging, enjoys clinging, and rejoices in clinging. It is hard for such population to see this state, namely specific conditionality, dependent origination. And it is hard to see that state, namely the stealing of all volitional activities, the relinquishing of all acquisitions, the destruction of craving, non-attachment, cessation, the nirvana. If I were to teach the Dhamma, others would not understand me, and that would be wearying and troublesome for me." Thus, when the Buddha was considering, his mind inclined towards inaction, to not teaching the Dhamma. Thereupon there came to the Blessed One spontaneously these verses never heard before. "What is the point of trying to teach the Dhamma that even I found hard to teach? For it is not easily understood by those who live in lust and hate. Those died in lust, wrapped in darkness, will never discern that which goes against the worldly stream, fine, profound, difficult to see, and subtle." Considering thus, the Blessed One's mind inclined in action rather than to teach the Dhamma. Then Brahma Sahampati knew with his mind the thought in the mind of the Blessed One, and considered, the world will be lost, the world will perish, since the mind of the Tathagata, the Arahat, the perfectly awakened Buddha, inclined to inaction rather than to teach the Dhamma. And just as quickly as a strong man might extend his bent arm or bend his extended arms, Brahma Sahambati vanished from the Brahma world and appeared before the Blessed One. Brahma Sahambati arranged his upper robe on one shoulder and extending his hands to reverential salutation towards the Blessed One, and said, Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma, let the Fortunate One teach the Dhamma. There are beings with little dust in their eyes who will perish if they were not to hear the Dhamma. There will be those who will understand the Dhamma. Brahma Sahambati spoke thus, and then he said further, in Magadha there have appeared till now impure teachings devised by those still stained. Open the door to the deathless, let them hear the Dhamma that the stainless one has found. Just as one who stands on a mountain peak can see below the people all around, so a wise one, all-seeing, says, ascend the palace of the Dhamma. Let the sorrowless one survey this human breed, engulfed in sorrow, overcome by birth and old age. Arise, victorious hero, caravan leader, deathless one, and wonder in the world. Let the Blessed One teach the Dhamma. There will be those who will understand. Then the Blessed One listened to the pleading of Brahma, and out of compassion for the beings, he surveyed the world with the eye of the Awakened One. Surveying the world with the eyes of an Awakened One, he saw beings with a little dust in their eyes, beings with much dust in their eyes, beings with keen faculties, beings with a dull faculties, being with a good faculties, being with a bad qualities, beings who are easy to teach, beings who are hard to teach, and so who dwell seeing, fear, and blame, and in the next world. Just as in a pond of a blue and a red or a white lotuses, some lotuses that are born or grown in the water thrive immersed in the water without rising out of it. Some other lotuses that are born and grow in the water rest on the water's surface, and some others lotuses that are born and grow in the water rise out of the water and stands clear, unwetted by it. So too, surveying the world with the eyes of the Awakened One, the Blessed One saw beings with a little dust in their eyes, beings with much dust in their eyes, beings with keen faculties, beings with dull faculties, beings with good qualities, beings with bad qualities, beings who are easy to teach and hard to teach, and some who dwell seeing, fear, in blame and in the next world. Then he replied to the Brahma Sahambati in a verses, open for them are the doors to the deathless. Let those with ears now release their faith. O Brahma, thinking it would be troublesome, I did not speak the Dhamma subtle and sublime. Then Brahma Sahampati, thinking that the Blessed One had consented to his request that he would teach the Dhamma, departed at once, after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on the right. So this is just the beginning of the Buddha's dispensation. Now I end here reading this passage. Now this is time for the practice of a meditation for some times. So continue practicing. สัพเพสัตตาสัตว์ทั้งหลายที่เป็นเพื่อนทุกข์เกิดแก่เจ็บตายด้วยกันทั้งหมดทั้งสิ้นเวราหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้มีเวรแก่กันและกันเลยอาภัยอาบัชชาหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้พยาบาทเบียดเบียนซึ่งกันและกันเลยอานิฆาหุนตุจงเป็นสุขเถิดอย่าได้มีความทุกข์กายทุกข์ใจเลยสุขีหาตานังปริหารันตุจงมีความสุขกายสุขใจรักษาตนให้พ้นจากทุกข์ภัยทั้งสิ้นเถิดสัพเพสัตตา may all beings wherever they may be who like us experience aging, illness and death Averahuntu be free from enmity and danger. May they live in peace and safety. Abhayapachahuntu be free from mental and physical harm. May they be free from ill will and hatred. Anikahuntu be free from suffering, fear and distress. May their bodies and minds be at ease. Sukhihatanang pariharantu. May they care for themselves with wisdom. May they maintain their happiness and well-being. To those who are suffering, may they be released from pain. May they find healing, happiness, and peace. To those who are already well and happy, may their well-being grow and continue. May their joy deepen and expand. To all beings, seen and unseen, whether born of the womb, from eggs, from moisture, or spontaneously arisen, may they rejoice in the merit we have generated on this occasion, and may they ultimately attain the supreme peace of Nibbana. Nibbana Pacayo Hotu. May this be a condition for the attainment of Nibbana. Sadhu, 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 anumodami. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sawa